You're listening to a new episode of Girl Down Podcast with your host, me, Aeon. So sit back, relax, and listen as I unpack the uncertainty of my 30s, one episode at a time. Hey, welcome to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. And before I get into today's topic, I want to put this feeler out there. So, for my Patreon, I want to work on a series of videos that have to do with trans women and sexual pleasure. First of all, y'all know I have the non-op and pre-operative girls covered for the type of conversations that I want to curate. But I'm looking for trans women who are post-op to kind of talk about their perspective on sexual pleasure and like to have like real in-depth conversations. And I just want to do this feeling because I don't want to just reach out to people and be like, I just want to get a feel for people who would be open to having those type of conversations because it is intimate, it is personal, and the conversations will be held behind the Patreon gated community, so it will be for an intentional audience. It won't be for everybody. And I don't know if I have any listeners who are post-op who would just be open to candidly sharing their their experiences with finding their sexual pleasure with their body and the type of things that they like, the type of things that they do to bring them joy. Because I definitely want to have a well balanced conversation when it comes to sex, and I just don't want it to be from my perspective. I want it to include a gambit of perspectives in the trans community. So, if you would be open to being a part of that conversation, please feel free to shoot me an email at girldownpodcast@gmail.com. I actually need to go check the email to see if we've gotten anything. But girldownpodcast@gmail.com. Or feel free to reach out to me on the socials, Brianna JESQ on Twitter and Instagram. Also, reach me on Facebook, Brianna A. Jenkins. I'm on Facebook. But yeah, I definitely want to curate the conversations because I think my thing that I want to tackle this year, just the theme, is I want to talk about sexual pleasure for trans women of all kinds and just have honest, candid conversations of what are the honest ways, what things bring us joy, how are we maximizing pleasure for ourselves, what are we requiring of our partners that have sex with us. And I don't think anybody's really talking about that the way it needs to be talked about. And sex is something that I'm very interested in. I tell everybody, if I was not a lawyer, I think my other career is I would be like a sex therapist or like a sex counselor because I'm all about people having agency, people rediscovering their relationship with their own bodies and finding pleasure and really listening to their bodies and the connection of the body with the mind. So yes, let's have these type of conversations in 2022. Today, I want to talk about rest. I just feel like it's so. I really hate this grind culture and this grind mentality. I really hate how even during the pandemic, this whole grind culture and this grind mentality, for some reason, it's continued to persist. And to me, it's like a paradox because when we should be taking breaks, when we're dealing with this, when we're dealing with the state of the world that we're in and how it is impacting our mental health, along with you have to be a multi hyphenate, and you have to have this going on and that going on and that going on and that going on, and getting over being sick. Like it just seems crazy to me, and especially throughout these past 2 years, I've really interrogated my relationship with rest and the need to give myself breaks and taking naps, because you only have one body, and as somebody that has dealt with a chronic illness, and has and that has like truly dealt with exhaustion, and you only have one body. And for me, I don't see rest, I don't see taking breaks as lazy. I honestly I connected back to my ancestors. Like I feel, and I hate to get earthy or trippy with y'all, but I honestly feel like when I give myself permission to take breaks, and I give myself permission to rest, I honestly feel like I am honoring my ancestors, my slave ancestors that were brought here and that had to work against their will, work until they were tired, until their bodies were beat down, till their bodies were deformed, to sharecroppers, to domestic servants. I really feel like when I give myself permission to rest, especially as a Black person, that that's the best way, and that's the most sincerest way that I can honor my ancestors, because they made all the sacrifices that they made so that we could even just get to this position where we can say, hey, let's take a break. And this conversation of rest, I look at how I look at like my parent, my mom, and my aunts and my uncles and my family, and I look at how they come from this generation where you work for the same company, and you work day in and you work day out, and you work day in and you work day out, and you're just supposed to commit to this company, and often how not working or not giving yourself permission to take breaks. One, you're not dealing with your shit, because it's easy to distract, it's easy to deflect if you have this goal of just working. You're not taking breaks to like deal with your shit. You're not in relationship with your body. You're not in your body, because, and I'm just using my family as an own example. I have family members that are like in their late 50s and their 60s, that are working and trying to work through physical issues that are worsening, and that are probably being exacerbated because they are working so much and because they're not taking breaks. And then you try to tell them, not in a judgmental way, you try to tell them, hey, you've been working for this place X amount of years. You have all of this time, this paid time off accrued. Why don't we use some of that? Why don't we go on vacation? Why don't we just take 2 weeks off so we can just pause, get a spatial view of what's going on around us, and really take account of what's going on? But we and I get it, and I say this with compassion, especially with like what I see represented in the older generation. A lot I can tell, and especially within my family, I can tell that they didn't grow up with much, and they didn't grow up with a lot. So working was a way to accumulate, and it was a way to maintain. And I wholeheartedly respect that. I respect that. I'm not going to shit on it, because it created a foundation, and it created stability for me and for the people of my generation to come up and to thrive and to have access to the things in the way that we did. But it has to come to a point where you have to get back into relationship with your body, and your mind, and you don't villainize yourself for being human, for needing. Your body needs rest, your mind needs rest. You need to you need rest, and you need to not feel guilty about it. And a lot of that is, it doesn't come from intrinsically you feeling about rest. It's the messaging that we get, the structural and institutional messages that we get from wanting to take breaks. We even have whole job industries that penalize you from trying to take a lunch break at work, because they want you to work, and that's just the consequence of growing up in a capitalistic structure where these companies, all they want to do is exploit workers, underpay them, not give them breaks, which could be a whole nother topic. But I've had to learn how to cultivate space for rest in my life, because it's so important. As somebody that does go through a lot and process a lot mentally, me going through an illness, my body is not the same how it was pre-cancer, and I'm very in tune to my body. What's this pain? Maybe I shouldn't work out today. This doesn't feel right. And I know that only comes because I'm not forcing myself to go hard for the sake of I need to look like I'm working to other people. Bitch, if I don't feel it, I don't feel it. I'm not going to apologize for it. This is my body. This is my mind. I'm responsible for it. And if I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I feel so connected to myself. I feel so connected to my ancestors. I feel like I'm in a position now where I can advocate for my ancestors to say, no, I'm not doing this. I don't feel like doing this. My body is telling me that I need rest. So, bitch, I'm going to take this nap. I'm going to go to sleep. No, you cannot contact me when I'm not working on the weekends. Contact me while I'm on the clock, because my rest, my health is so important to me. And one of the good things about advocating for myself in this way is that I know that I can inspire like the elders in my family to be like, hey, and not through judgment, just from conversations like, when's your last day off? Are you planning on taking a vacation? Are we planning on, because time is precious and you can't get it back, and you work for all these companies, you do all of these things, and then when you look back, these things and these companies dispose of you like you didn't even matter. And it was like you gave all your time and you demonstrated all of this for what, right? So I know I just went on the rant, but I just want people to know that in this grind culture, that it is okay to take a break. It is okay to get rest. You should be, no shade, even with the craziness that has gone on throughout this pandemic, Miss Thing, I have been getting the best sleep of my life, and I actually live for the fact that I'm single, because I can really sleep the way that I want to sleep, bitch. Some days I be waking up and be drool all over. I hate to get graphic with y'all, but I've been sleeping like the cunts, bitch, and I feel good about that. I feel really good that I'm not on this time crunch, and that, you know, I'm privileged and I'm fortunate to be able to work from home, because I get so much more time for myself. And even though working from home, it has its benefits, but it's still stressful. I feel good to have that space for myself, and I'm in a space literally where I'm by myself, where it's that more easier for me to listen to my body, to be more in tuned into my body, and to move accordingly. And I just want that for everybody, especially Black people. We have been the one group of people that has been intentionally been denied rest. And I want us to, if we can't get the money that's owed us, I at least want us to get control, to get autonomy of our body, And not only just how we're allowed to move and the things that we're able to do, but the ways that we're able to recharge and renew and reinvest into ourselves physically and spiritually. So bitch, let us rest, honey. Let us rest. But that's all I got to say for this topic. If you would like to respond or if you have comments about this conversation, please feel free to go on over to my Anchor page and leave a voice message response. Also, make sure that if you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that you're rating me 5 stars and you're leaving a comment. And I want to thank you all for your support and for going along with me on this ride. And I will talk to y'all next time. All right, bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. If you like the show, please be sure to go on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast. Also, make sure that you're engaging with me on social media. Also, if you have any inquiries or you want to send me any questions, be sure to email me at girldownpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, bye y'all.